Okay, so it's 9:30, so in respect of your time, we're going to get started. Just quick introductions. Delane Johnson is the mom. Open up your chat down at the bottom of your screen. You can click on that, it'll open up and you can ask questions, and then she will pause me at appropriate times and ask, and we'll clarify those questions for you. I'm going to mute everybody. It's just, the polite thing to do, mute everybody so we don't get all the background noises and things in our recording. And by the way, yes, we are recording this session for later. So if you, I'm going to close everybody's video. So on my screen, you won't be seen. So you don't have to turn off your video or anything. It's recording on my device. So what you're looking at right now are the basic sign-in instructions, and I will cover these and I'll demo them as I go through this morning's presentation. So a little bit about Adobe Sign. So what Adobe Sign is, it's a way of grabbing a digital signature on forms. What it's not is a bulk form collection. You send out forms, you get one signature. We don't have the licensing to send out bulk forms. I mean, it's possible, but we don't have the licensing for that. So for us, it's these one-off forms. You can send it to 10 people, 20 people just by entering an email address and sending it to each one, but it's not something like you want to send out to your entire parent population or a large group of people. That might be in more of like a permission click type situation, or in Form K-12. So, so just that to let you know what it is and kind of what it isn't. After we sign in, there's some different scenarios I'm going to show you about how to get signatures and get things returned. And I think that would pretty much cover it. So we're going to look at templates. Templates are something that is really great to use in Adobe Sign. That way you could just grab that form and resend it. We're going to look at the template. We're going to look at somebody filling it out and submitting it back. Along the way, emails are sent at every step, which is a plus and a minus because it can fill up your email inbox. But every time someone opens it and signs it, you get notified. Every time it goes to another person, you get notified. When it's completed, you get notified. When you initially send it out, you get notified. So every step of the way, you know exactly where this document is. There are ways to send out reminders to people to finish signing their form and returning it to you. There is a way to password protect these items also. And we will definitely cover all of that. There is a way to pre-fill these forms before you send them out. So let's say, for instance, you are doing an IEP or something like that. You come into Adobe Sign, you have your form set up, you pre-fill the form, then you send it for a signature. And there's a way just to grab a quick form, slap a quick signature on there, get that sent out and get it returned. So so we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to show you is just basically how it works, just the workings of Adobe Sign. So we have a template already in place. We're going to send that out for a signature and then get it returned. So just to see the workflow to start, then we'll go back and we'll show you how to pull in that Word document, change it into a form, and then get it sent out and get it returned to you. So I'm going to open up a tab and go through all of the steps in that initial sheet that you were shown. So we start by going to sign.adobe.com. This is the page you're going to see. Click sign in. And then this is the page you're going to want to bookmark. So it's important that you just go ahead and click that little star. I have a tendency to want to take the name out. I don't like the name being there. I'm going to click done. It's going to be on my bookmarks bar, but be all the way down here at the bottom. So I'm going to grab that and pull it up. So there's my little Adobe Sign icon. I mean, I know it's Adobe Sign by looking at it. If you wanted to leave the name, that's fine. It's just a little bit long and I don't want to take up so much space. And then I'll move it over here. So now anytime I want to get back to my Adobe Sign, I have my button on my bookmarks bar, and it's just quick, fast, and easy to get back there. When you sign in, you definitely want to use your clovisusd.k12.ca.us. If you're on a district device and you are signed into your device, once you click in the password field, it takes a second, but it pushes you right through. If you're not on a district device, we found out you're going to get that extra little screen that's going to want you to sign in with your credentials. Then it'll pass you through. So I have an Adobe account already set up with my Clovis USD, so I see this page. You may or may not see this page, but if this does show up, you make sure that you click on company or school account, and then it takes you into Adobe Sign, and it always defaults to the send page in Adobe Sign, which to me, I wish it would default more to the template page under manage. So once here, this is the screen you're going to see quite often, but I'm going to start today in manage. And I'm going to come down to a template. So we already have a template set up. These are forms that we use often. So I'm going to select the form. I'm not going to click open or edit. I just click on the form itself. It pops open this sidebar. I'm going to click on use template. And then what it does is it automatically populates some items on this send sheet. Okay, so just starting at the top, recipients, complete in order. This is if you have multiple signatures on a form and you want them to be, it goes first to the recipient, then to an approval, then through an approval process. You want to complete that in order. If it doesn't matter what order, you can toggle that off and people can just fill it out when they get a chance. There is no, has to go to 1, 2, and 3. Everybody signs and it just gets returned. I would think for your purposes, you're probably going to do a complete in order option. And so what you do here is very important. So let's say I want to send this out to a couple of people. This is a vacation request. So the first person I want to fill out the things on my form is probably the person requesting time off. So I'm going to type in their email address. Okay. And over here you have some options. This is where you can add a password. So when they click through their email to get to the form, they're going to have to put in a password. Passwords are case sensitive. So if you, let's say their password's going to be their first initial capitalized and their last initial capitalized, and then the last 4 of their telephone number, whatever password you come up with. They're going to have to type it in that exact same way to access. Okay, so I put capitals and then numbers. Okay. So this one's password protected. Let's say when it comes back for approval, it's coming back to me basically, or somebody in the district. You may not need to password protect that. You don't have to. They just click on it through their email and then it gets pushed right in. So completing an order, because this is on, this first person has to finish the form first, then it'll be sent to this person. It gives you a little default message down here based on the title of the form that you're using, the template that you're using. You can also come down here and add more. If you want to put more files in, you can do that. I've never done it, but you can send more than one to one person. So if it's a form that you've used a lot and you're comfortable with the form and you know it works and it's been sent and received multiple times and there's no issue, that's great. You can just send it from this page right here, or you can click preview and then send it. Okay. Oh, and one more thing over here, I can set a reminder. Okay. Let's say this is a really important form and I must have it back. Let's say I'm going to I'm going to remind them every other day until I get it back. So I can select that option here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and preview this form because this is what's really important. You have to specify who is filling out these fields in this form, and it's based on color. So you notice that some of these have this olive color, some have a light blue color, and those are assigned to people to fill out the form. Okay, so the person that's creating the form, you're always going to be this pink color. So anything that you see here that is that bright pink, that is you. So if you need to pre-fill a form, it's going to be a bright pink field, and it's referring to you. You're the one that fills that out. That olive green is that first signer, and it's always the first signer. Then it adds blue, and if you want to add people, you can do that on that initial page, and it will sign them a new color. Okay. These fields, we'll talk more about them later, because this is a template and it's been completed. Let's just go down and take a look. Anything with a star is a required field, and we'll talk more about that when we set up our forms. This one, it doesn't have the little star, but it's part of what they call a signature block. That means it's attached to the signature. So it's automatically required based on the fact that it's a signature block. Okay, let's take a quick look. We can see that that first person's filling out most of this form, then it'll be submitted. Okay, so right now we're going to go ahead and send this form. It alerts me that it's sent. Okay, at this point in my email, I also get an email saying that my form was sent successfully. Okay, so let's go to that first signer. Okay. And I'm not sure if you can see that screen or not.
Yeah, I was about to tell you,
okay.
We can't see your screen.
All right. So do you see it now? It's my inbox.
Looks great.
Okay. Let's see if it's sent here real quick. Okay, so I received the email that something is requesting my signature. And just FYI, it works really well on a phone. So you get the email, you open it, you can make the form larger and click through the fields on a mobile device too. So this is the password I set up. If you remember from that initial, when I added my email, I required a password for this. Here's a little message that pops up. So here I have different options to sign. I can just type my signature, I can draw my signature. If I have a signature as an image, I can pull that in, or I can actually send this to my phone to sign with my finger on my phone, and then it attaches back to the device. Do I have my phone? I could show you that. Let's see. This is what it looks like if I say from my mobile device. Okay. So in my mobile device, I get a text message. I open the text message. I click the link. It opens a sign field like the one that we initially saw before I clicked on mobile here. I sign my name. Okay. As you can see on my phone, it's no better than if I had drawn it probably with my mouse. My signature populates there, and I can just type my name. I'm going to apply that. So it puts in my signature, my name shows up here, it date stamps it. Okay, so I'll type in my department. Let's see, I'm going to take off tomorrow. And then you put in a number of hours. This is our actual vacation form that we turned into an Adobe template. So I'm just going to take some time off tomorrow. And once it recognizes that you've completed all of your fields, the little ribbon pops up and it tells me that I'm done. I can go ahead and sign it. Once I sign it, it lets me know that I've sent it. And then it alerts the next person in that hierarchy of signing this document. So now I'm going to go into my email. I'm going to have to share that with you now, because I was the next person on that sign-in sheet. Yep. That was weird. Okay. So here's the email telling me that my signature is requested on this email because I listed myself as the person, the immediate supervisor to approve. I click here and sign. Okay. Supervisor name. And then I choose my option. It knows that I've completed
Sherry,
my
we've
portion.
lost that screen. We are on your inbox.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Let's see here. Oh, I have too many open. Here we go. Sorry about that. Thank you. Can you see this one? So
Yes.
as a supervisor, I have signed. I have clicked approve. And because it knows that I'm done with all of my fields, it gives me the click to sign button. It lets me know that it's done. So I'm going to go back to my email real quick. Okay. Can you see my email right now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go back to my email. It tells me that it has been signed, and then it'll also send me an email stating that it's been completed, that all the signatures are completed. Then from that point, you can go ahead and download that one, print it, file it, or just keep a digital copy of it. That's basically the workflow. Okay. If I go back in here to manage, we can see the ones that have been completed. Like this is the one that we just completed here right now. I can download that PDF from here, or I can open it to look at it. Okay. And then the options over here are things you may be interested in. So you can go ahead and download it. You can hide it. If it's something that's done, you don't want to look at it anymore, you're finished with it, you can hide it. You can click share and send this to another person that has an Adobe Sign account, so they can also look to make sure that it's signed, or if they need it. I've never done this step, but it is there for you if you need it. If you come down here where it says see 3 more, there's some alternate things that you can do down here. Add notes, send out reminders, download the individual files. Okay. The activity section is rather interesting. You can see everything that's happened with this form from the time it was created. It was sent out, it was viewed, it was signed, it was sent to the next person, it was viewed, it was signed, and it was submitted. Okay. So any questions so far about the workflow? You have a template, send it out, everybody signs, emails get sent notifying everybody of everything, then you get the form back, and then just getting back to that form.
So while not specific about the workflow, there was a question about getting an evaluation signature page added for classified and certificated.
Evaluation form. So here's the thing with our, let's look in here. So for our licensing, there isn't a bank of shared signatures, but what we could do, possibly, I'll have to try this out, is create a template. We share it out to everyone. And when you come into templates, when you go to create a template from the home screen where it says create a reusable template, you just pull in that PDF that's already been created as a form, I guess you could say, and use that in here. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely doable that way. It would kind of be a workaround because we don't have a pool of templates that we can use in Adobe itself. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sorry, I meant to unmute.
Oh, that's okay. I was like,
There's
okay.
a shortcut in Zoom where if you press the space bar, you can temporarily unmute yourself without having to click the mute in the lower left corner. But I was typing a message for one of our participants.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Space bar, and I was talking.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, so yeah, we could play with that a little bit to see if that would work for us. If we had a template and we put it maybe in DocuShare somewhere where it's ready to go and you can download it and pull it into your template library. I mean, that would make sense. In my mind, it's a doable thing, but you know, we have to play with it a little bit to see if it works. Okay.
And then there was another question. People are excited to learn how to make their own forms, edit the fields, and send them out. So they're reading
our next thing. We're working that way. I do want to show you just real quick what it would look like as a pre-fill. Just so you know kind of the workflow of that one. I won't go through the whole signing process. We've already seen that whole signing process. We're not going to go through that again. But in the templates, I always just want to start here because I know that I have some templates in here and they're easy. I click here. If you want to look at it or open it, that kind of thing, you can do that. But here's the loaner laptop agreement. I'm going to say use this template. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you are pre-filling something to send out. Laptop loaner agreement. I'm not going to put a password on this one. I'm not going to set reminders. Okay. But I do want to preview and show you real quick what this looks like. When it's something that you are originating and you're typing in information before you send it. So remember those colors, right? So over here on recipients, if I look, that hot pink color is me. I'm the originator of this document before I send it out for a signature. So it requires that I fill it out. Oops. Sorry, not here, I always forget. I fill it out before it gets sent to the next person, okay? So I'm looking at it, it's a multiple page document, you can do those. So I'm gonna click on send. Once I click send, then what it does is it just stops sending to the next person because I have to pre-fill it. And when I set this up, I set it up with a data validation that I have to enter dates in a very specific way. Okay, so it knows that I've done with all of my pre-fill fields, so I can go ahead and I can send it to that next person. And then they'll get that same email that you saw before, they click on it, they sign it, it gets sent back to me. Okay. So that's what it looks like when you pre-fill. You don't pre-fill on that first page, you send it basically, it gets kind of held up, you fill it out, then you send it. Any questions about the pre-fill option?
None in mute or in the chat so far.
Okay. All right, so let's create a template here real quick. So I always start at the home screen for that one. And it says down here, create a reusable template. You're taken to the Create Library Template Gallery. So the template name, we're going to do Classroom Video Approval. Okay. So I'm going to find that file. So when I click Add Files, did you see the pop-up that came up?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to click Choose Files from my computer. You may not see this screen, but I am actually selecting just a Word document that is a form that I've had on my computer for a while. It's just a Word document. So I'm going to select Classroom Video Request here. Okay. And then I'm going to choose Preview and Add Fields. Okay. Okay, so on this page, this was a Word document. What it does is it looks over my document, and if I have buttons, little round circles, squares, lines, Adobe is assuming that those are fields that need to be created. So it notices that there's 11 things that could possibly be fields on here. Okay, does that mean that they're 100% correct? No, they're not, but I'm going to go ahead and just let them pre-fill them so I don't have to come over here and drag them out. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to fix each one. I'm going to review it. I'm going to name it what I want it to show up as, because what you name the fields on your form, when you download a spreadsheet, because you can download a spreadsheet of everything that's been filled out on this form, that's going to be your column name for each field that you're looking at. So we're going to talk through some of these fields and what they're going to look like. So it just generically puts those fields in. So we have to go through and kind of fancy them up a little bit. So this first field where it says classroom teacher name, it says custom field 1. That would basically be the column header on a spreadsheet, and I don't want that to be that. So I'm going to double click the custom field. I'm going to click the edit, and I'm going to say classroom teacher name. Okay. Assigned to participant 1. It's going to be the olive green color. It's going to be the person that you email it to. And I'm going to make it required because I don't want half-filled forms being emailed back to me. Okay. So down here, I'm going to click OK. So now when I hover, I see that it's now called classroom teacher name and it's required. Okay. Same thing here. Double click. I'm going to rename this to grade level. Make it required. Okay, so now when we get down to these little radio buttons, this is where things can get messy. So we're going to talk about them real quick. You see they're next to each other. When I double click the first one, okay, I'm going to rename this movie reading. And it tells me this group has 2 options. When it tells you that there's options, it's only going to allow you to choose one. Okay, so it's going to act like what they call a radio button, the little round buttons. If you want the person to only be able to choose one, that's fine. Leave them grouped together. But then down here for the value, we're looking at this first one. Value is what you're going to see if you eventually download all of this data as a spreadsheet. It's what you're going to see in the cell if that little radio button is selected. Okay. So if they select G, I want the value in the spreadsheet to show as a G, right? As a G rating. Okay. And we're going to make this group of questions required. I clicked the first one. You can't quite see it, but it went ahead and it toggled on for both of those radio buttons. Okay. But I'm going to go to the next one because see the value? I'm going to make sure that that value says PG, because if they click that PG radio button in a spreadsheet, I want to see PG. Okay. It's required. I renamed it. We're good. Okay. Will you be needing additional AV equipment? I'm going to do the same thing here. Double click. I'm going to call this need additional equipment. Okay. Has 2 options. They can only select one. This first one I've selected, I don't want the value to be 0. I want it to be yes. And make it required. So toggle them both on. Same thing that this one, I could have done previous or next to toggle to that one. The value for this one, I don't want it to be a 1. I want it to say no on a spreadsheet if I download a spreadsheet. Okay. So any questions about that so far?
Nothing specifically about this in chat. There is a side question. I'll wait for this process.
Okay. So group together, one choice. But let's look at this one right here. Okay. If yes, what do you need? Well, they may need more than one thing. But if I click this, I notice that they have been grouped together. Okay. So what I'm going to do for this one, okay, oops, I'm going to delete the field. Okay. I'm going to delete these out. Okay. Then over here on my sidebar, under data fields, I'm going to put in the little check boxes here. I'm just going to put them over the ones that pre-existed on the field, on the form. And each one of these that I drag and drop on a spreadsheet, if you download a spreadsheet, will become a separate column. And we will go through and rename them. Okay. I'm not going to make it required. They may not need a projector, so I'm going to leave that the way it is. Okay, so just going back over our form, we have all these fields. They are required. We have renamed them. These are grouped, only one option per question. These are just individual select. Okay, so make sure that. Now for these text fields, there's another option we want to talk about here. So I want to make sure that I change the name to add content. Okay, curricular connection. Participant 1, I'm going to make it required. This multi-line data entry, select that in case they need more space here. It will put a little scroll bar here on the side so you can see everything that they type in there, just in case that box is not large enough. Okay. And the same down here. Okay, and this signature is automatically required. It's a classroom teacher signature, so I'm still going to rename that. To assign to the first participant is required. Approved, not approved. Now, for this one, I don't want the teacher approving or disapproving their showing of the movie. So when we double click this one, we're going to change this. So we're going to name it approved. We're going to change it from participant 1 to participant 2, the person that's going to be sent to after the teacher fills it out. We're going to make it required. And the value here, if I download a spreadsheet, I'm going to say I want it to show approved in the cell. Oops, might help if I type that correctly. Let's make sure we have all of that information correct. Say OK. Oop. I should have clicked next. Here, that's the name of the group. Oh, I should have put maybe approved, not approved. So for the second one, participant 2 will fill it out, but not, I don't want a value of 1. I want it to say not approved. Okay. And then this signature down here, I don't want the teacher signing for themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to admin signature. The second person that it goes to is going to be the admin that I add. And click OK. So my template is now done. So let's go back and look it over. Make sure they all have a name. Those that are required have a star. These are different colors. That's going to be participant number 2. That's going to be the person that approves this form. Perfect. So I've made my first form. Okay. So over here, I'm going to click Save. Okay. So now I've created my form. And it takes me to a page that asks me, okay, do you want to send this out right now? Or do you want to put in another template? And you can do that from this page. When you go in later on to find that, you're going to go to Manage and go down to Templates. And it's going to be right there ready to go. You will choose that template. You can open it and take a look at it to see if that's the one that you want. You're like, yes, that's the one I want. I can click on Use Template. Or from that initial screen, I can just click on Use Template if I know I've used it before and it's good to go. So when I click on Use Template, it pulls it into that Send screen one more time. Here's my complete in any order. So it's going to go to the teacher to fill it out. It's going to show as myself, but it'll be a teacher. And let's say Delane is going to be my supervisor. She gets it next. So once I fill it out, it'll go to Delane. Once Delane fills it out, it'll come back to the office manager, because basically I'm kind of acting like the office manager, right? I send it to the teacher fills it out, then it goes to the admin fills it out, then it comes back into my Adobe Sign account. Okay. It populates the message with the form name. I can go ahead and add anything else I need here. Then I can set reminders for my teachers or staff members to get those things turned into me until they're done. If I need to, I can approve it. Make sure all of the form sections are correct and who fills them out. Okay. Now it shows me because I send it to myself first, but these would be green normally if I'm sending it to somebody. I messed up there. I should have used a different email address. And then Delane is my supervisor, so she's going to be that first one. And then the next person would have been blue. Okay. So it came to me first, so I would have to sign it and then send it like a pre-filled form. So I kind of blew it on that one. But anyways, I hope you kind of get the workflow for that one. Are there any questions so far?
There is, and it's about templates. So
okay.
If I have an existing template, how do I get it here into Adobe Sign?
Okay, so if you have an existing one, you can click on templates. Oops, sorry, go home. You can click on create a usable template. And when you go into the add files, I think that vacation one. So I'm going to choose from my computer. I'm going to grab a PDF. I don't know if you can see this or not, a PDF that I originally had put in fields for. It's already a PDF that had all of the forms in there with names and everything on them already. So I can say preview and add fields. What's different here is that you're going to notice that when it pulls it in, it doesn't always pull things in exactly the way you want it to. And I'm going to show that to you real quick. So here from department date. So all of these have been named, right? So if I double click it, there's a form anybody can, I would have to go through and assign them to the correct people to fill it out. So here I'd go probably participant 1, make it required. So there will be some things that you might have to do in here as far as the sending of templates. This person fills it out first, this person fills it out second. You have to change some of those things in here. So even if you pull in one that's already done, you're going to have to do a little bit more work to get it working for your signature flow. Also down here, when I click here, okay, there are a ton, right, of little tiny buttons down here. If I click this first one, employee illness, if I say that it's required, right, I would have to go through, each one of these would be a column, and I'd have to change them out. Okay. You can leave it like that, or you can delete all of these out, and you can put in one question and require one of them to be selected. Still, something like this would take a lot of work to get it kind of up and running. So I would go through and delete them all. Okay. And then we'd come down here to my data fields. I would put in, put a radio button in here because you're only selecting one, right? When you go, okay. How many options are in this radio button group? Let's just start there. So it fills them out for me, kind of notices. Because what it's not going to do, it's not going to jump over to this next column. And so you're going to have to individually add a few. So down here, we'll come back and we need to rename these. But what I can do is I can add another button here. Let's go tools. I always forget what that one's hiding. So I'm going to add option. Okay, it's going to put it here, and I'll drag it over to this next column. And so what you're going to want to do, though, is come in here to each one. This whole section, we're going to say a reason for absence. We're going to make it required. Okay. But for these little individual ones, we're going to double click here. The value, like I said, if this is going to be downloaded later on as a spreadsheet, you're going to switch these out. You're going to say this one, I want it to say school business. This one, I'm going to name it, in the spreadsheet, it's going to be employee illness. Okay. And you'll do that for each button. And as you go, you'll just add another one. Okay, it's under tools here. Add option, and just drag it, drag it over and place it. Okay. So any questions about that kind of thing? It doesn't come in perfect. You're still going to have to work it a little bit. Some people find that maybe just starting from scratch is easier, and then once you build up your bank of templates, you just get a little bit faster at it. But you just have to make sure you go through, you're double checking who fills out each one, because right now this is pretty much anyone. So we're going to change these to participant 1, the person it gets sent to. Supervisor signature is missing because there was not a line there. So what I can do for that one, over here, I'll say participant 2 will be the one filling that out. And it's going to be a signer info field. Let's see, signature field. I'm going to drop their signature right there. And then, of course, approval or disapproval is that second signature that will be the administrator. And so you're going to probably want to make the first one mandatory, but the rest of them don't need to be mandatory. They only need to fill those out if they need more space. So dates, row number 1, you can just see how they're named. If you're fine with that, the way they're named, you're good, you can leave it. But you definitely want to make sure that the appropriate person is filling it out. And I wish there was a way to mass select in here, but you can't. It's each individual little field. It's a little bit of work up front, but once you get these forms up and running, it becomes a lot easier. So any questions about that part so far?
Nothing in chat, but I do have one. So
yeah.
I see that you have done a ton of hard work on this particular form. That's a lot of radio buttons. That's a lot of signature ones and participant ones. Is there a way for you to share this with me for my school site so I don't have to reinvent the wheel?
Unfortunately not. That's the strange thing. Like we can create a template, and we can give you an Adobe form template, but pulling it in here, it doesn't always read the same way that Adobe DC Pro reads it. So it's hard to say yes to that.
Right. It's not like a Google Doc where you can just add my name and say, this is an admin. Make a copy.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that would be great if we could. But we don't have that licensing. Our Adobe licensing is the basic. So we get this, but it's not mass form filling, and it's not the entire district has it, and we have a big form database. And and we've also found too that a lot of school sites, their forms are very site specific. So even if we put them in the template, they would end up changing them anyway. But once it's done, which is a good thing. But you just have to make sure that when you're putting it together, all of those options are correctly selected for each field.
Yeah. Another question, is there a limit to the number of required signature fields you can have on a form?
That one I'm not sure of. I've only done with like 2 or 3 signatures. That's a great question. So if we send, So let's see. Should start adding people. Let's see how far we can get.
That's what I was wondering. Add Chris in there.
Yeah, add Chris in there. Apparently not. But the only thing about this is once you get to this many people, when you come down, when you come down here to the preview, you will get a warning if you try to send it without signature spots for all these people. So over here on the side, all of these people will need a signature block. So you'll see I have a green one for the first signer, which is Delane. There's a blue one because I'll be the second signer. This one will need a signer block. This one will need a signer block. So you drag those out for them, or I think you also get alerted on the back side. So we try to send, it gives you this little message saying, you have recipients that need places to sign. And so you're going to need to go back and add those. They will do it for you, but I'm not sure where they stick those signature blocks on your form. So you just have to know in advance about how many people would maybe be signing that form, or you can just let them stick the signature fields anywhere on the form that they find an empty spot. So any other questions about that?
Nothing in the chat. I'm just trying to think, wow, 5 signature loops. That's a
lot. You're definitely going to have the reminders turned on for that one, or nobody's ever going to return it. You'll never get it back.
It'll just be stuck out in space.
Yeah. Stuck in somebody. Well, here's the good thing though, too. You can also come back in here in your manage, where there are ones that are out there in progress. If you select it, you can look at the activity and see where it's stuck, right? Who looked at it last? Who was the last person to sign it? So you have those options to peek around in there. Anything that's completed would show up here. And then you also have filters and ways of searching. So let's say I only want to see things that were done in the last 24 hours. So you're not having to go through so many different forms to find what you're looking for. You can also sign for different types of agreements and different users to find those forms that were filled out. So you have a little bit of a search. It's not the best search function I've ever seen, search bar I've ever seen, algorithm that they have, but it works. Clunky, but it works. If you have anything that's waiting for you to have a signature, it would show up here. Anything that's out there waiting for people to be signed, you can click that. You can send a little reminder to them if you didn't send it, from that original page. So you can just go ahead and give them another one. Anything expired, I'm not sure what expired means. If it's too long of a period of time and nobody signs it, it may end up here. I don't know what that time length is, but they do have a little spot that houses those, so you can always go back and find them. Anything you've started that you haven't finished will show up here, and then you have your templates again. So as you're doing these templates, as people have filled them out, so I know we've done this one a couple times, I can come over here and go to C3 More. I can download that form field data. Okay, so let me share that with you. It opens.
You're looking at an Excel file?
Yes, I'm opening it right now.
Perfect.
So this is what it looks like when they have finished the template, finished it and sent it back. You can see the signers, you can see who the approval person is, and then all the information. So the items at the top, okay, this is what you named the field, right? So when we said department. I think when it first popped in that field, it said text field 1. And I didn't want text field 1 to show up here as my column header. So I changed that text field name to department. Then the value, the approved, not approved. This was, I think, custom button number 1, I believe. I changed it to approval. And if they approved it, instead of having the value of 0 show up here, I put in the value of approved. So it would populate on the spreadsheet with approved or disapproved. So that's why we name things the way we name them on the form. So if you end up with a spreadsheet and you open it, you know what you're looking at. Okay. So any questions about what it looks like when you download the spreadsheet?
None so far. I'm so glad that you opened it up because I was curious what a completed form looks like, both online as I'm reviewing them and what the data would look like if I just needed to quickly go through and see who marked yes, who marked no.
And then let's see. Let's go back to that one. If you want to download individual forms, I can come here to my completed section. I can click on the one I want and I can download it. I can just save it digitally, or I can print it and put it in a file if necessary, like a CAME folder or something. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you everybody for coming today.